What's up? I'm Rebecca. I am Christian. I am Hispanic. I'm a little white girl. And those are all relevant things to this video. So, also, real quick before we get into it, look! It's snowing, like fat clumps of flakes. Like, the clumps are like this big, some of them. It's crazy. Like a little mouse could wear them as a hat. That'd be cute. Someone should draw that. I don't feel like drawing that. But someone should. So, I saw ENCANTO recently, and I really loved it. It's, like, my current favorite movie, but, like, not an all-time favorite. You know how you get, like, seasonal, temporary favorites? My favorite movie of the moment, ENCANTO. And I really loved it, but I talked to my husband about it, and he does not like Disney as a company, and to be fair, neither do I. I said I would never support them again because of all the pedophile rings that they participate in, but I took the bait, okay? I fell for ENCANTO because everyone was loving on it, and then I listened to We Don't Talk About Bruno, and then I bought it, and I was like, I'm gonna listen to, like, just based on that one song, I'm going to want to watch this movie more than once because the music slaps. I've already watched it, like, 4 times. At least 3.5 times. So I really like it, but Disney's not a good company. We're not gonna talk about all that stuff. I can link in the description if you want to know, like, what I'm talking about with, like, sex rings and stuff with kids and like how they protected pedophiles who employed at their company. I will include that in the description. I'm just here to review ENCANTO because here's the thing. There is not enough good faith Christian media analysis. There's plenty of Christian media analysis. But, like, I saw this guy do a video, and he had not seen the movie. He's just scrolling through looking at posters because Christians are often overly scared of paganism because they have no experience with it. I'm an ex-witch. I got nothing to fear. I know that I've experienced for myself how much more powerful Jesus is than witchcraft. So, like, I'm not afraid of it, and sometimes Christians just tend to fearmonger about it and be overly scared of it. So, he didn't watch the movie. He just was, like, looking at posters, and, like, Abuela was standing in front of her door in one of the pictures, and then he was like, oh, you see that window behind her? Because he doesn't even know that they're freaking doors. He was like, oh, you see that window behind her? Like, you see the lion on it with, like, glowing? I'm like, honey, that's an old woman. Like, you didn't have to come for her like that. Like, because Abuela's half covering her door. You know what I mean? And, like, he's just trying to guess at what's going on. So I'm someone who's seen the movie, who loves the movie, and still has a number of good faith criticisms for the movie. And I just think there needs to be more good faith Christian media analysis, because what that guy was doing was 100% bad faith. Like, if you're not going to watch a movie, don't review it. If you're not going to educate yourself on a topic, don't make claims about it. Like, yes, there are some ungodly things in this movie. You wouldn't know those, sir, because you did not watch the movie. I have, so let's talk about it. I'm going to go through the pros first. I have a little more pros than cons, but I have a lot of cons, more than I thought I would have, actually, especially after talking to my husband and reading my Bible more. I just realized that, like, yeah, there's some strong issues, but, you know, we'll get to that. So, the pros. First, I am a little white girl with black cousins on my Hispanic side of the family. I loved seeing, like, a rainbow of people in their little town that they have. I'm going to be checking them off as I go, too. So, the racial representation really made me feel seen, especially when colorism is a huge issue in the Hispanic community, and I know people are going to be like, oh my gosh, you're white and you're crying about discrimination? Sorry, I'm just acknowledging reality, okay? And, like, Hispanic people can be super, like, colorist against white Hispanic people, and they'll be like, you're not really Hispanic, we don't claim you, and it's like, well, like, our shared ancestors gave birth to me, like, you can't not claim me, shut the fuck up. So, it was really nice to feel seen, and, like, think, like, you know, literally the main character, she's, like, lighter skinned, and she has black cousins. I was just like, it made me think of my cousins. I was just like, oh, this is so realistic and wholesome. I love it. So the representation was really, really cool. Also, the choreography, the costumes. I didn't mean to wear this while talking about ENCANTO. I just love the style, and it's one of my favorite skirts, and I'm wearing it because I'm going to go see my husband today. But the costumes, the choreography were amazing. They make me want to take salsa lessons. I'm going to learn how to speak Spanish. Like, this movie got me really inspired to learn more about my mom's side of, like, the family, and in regards to, like, cultural heritage and stuff, because I've learned more about my Jewish side, which comes from my dad's side. Now I want to learn more about my Spanish side and everything. A lot of that side of the family is actually Mexican, but not by blood, by marriage for me and my mom, so, like, it's interesting. So I'm just Spanish. I'm not Mexican, which is why I look like this. Okay. So, let's see. I love the family values. I feel like the family values of the movie really align with Christianity. I'm gonna say something real quick. Don't be mad. Like, I'm not saying any hate about it. I'm just going it with, does the movie promote biblical values? Biblical, okay? There aren't gay couples in it. Sorry, had to say it. At least, not any main characters, alright? So they're not, like, putting queerness at the forefront of the movie, which, to be fair, the movie isn't about that. I'm sure they'll have other movies that are more about, like, gay couples in the future. Good for them. I don't care about that. I'm talking about Encanto specifically. So, the family values I would consider pretty Christian. Be fruitful and multiply. They're being fruitful. They are multiplying. Okay, they got plenty of kiddos running around that casita, alright? They are doing just fine on the be fruitful and multiply part. And that's why God gave us sex, according to the Bible, is specifically to have babies, which is where that kind of comes from in Christianity, if you didn't know. Let's see. Emotional honesty and introspection is, like, something that just every healthy person should have as a skill. And so I love that there's a big focus in the movie on emotional honesty and introspection, because that's required for any change in life. That's required for any positive changes that you want to make in your life. As a Christian, you're gonna need a lot of that. In addition to that, it also encourages humility and admission of wrongdoing, which kind of aligns with it, but I wanted to put that separately because humility is a specifically Christian virtue. Like, I guess honesty is too, technically. But, like, introspection, that's just kind of, like, more of, like, a good thing. But that's not, like, one of the fruits of the Spirit or anything. But humility is. And being humble enough to admit when you're wrong, that's like how the problems get solved. That's how they get the miracle back in the movie, is through humility and admission of wrongdoing. That's crucial for overcoming sin. It's like literally a confession of sin. And, you know, watching it as a Christian, I really enjoyed that part. I really related to it as a Christian. I also love that they challenge gender norms in a, like, without being anti-biblical, basically. Like, Luisa, probably one of the best characters I've ever seen. And, like, she's not even my favorite character, but what I love about her is, like, for feminism. Like, it shows that you can, like, she's a perfect example of how you can subvert gender expectations and gender norms without being unchristian about it. Because, oh, wait, where's my, here it is, looking for my headband. Because, like, let me explain what I mean. There's nothing in the Bible that says you can't have a lower voice as a woman and still be beautiful or still be feminine. There's nothing in the Bible that says that you can't be strong, that you have to be weak as a woman. In fact, some of the best women in the Bible were the strongest ones. So, like, I just really love how she subverts our culture's worldly idea of what femininity means, but she still retains her beauty and her femininity in the way that God made her, and I just think that's really cool. I really love, like, Luisa is a feminist icon. That's all I can say. You know what I mean? Like, and then, hold on, let me check that off. So, they also talk about overcoming generational curses. I don't really have much to say about that. The entire plot is just them overcoming generational curses, which is really cool. And then, love is the real source of the miracle, because the candle dies after all. And I thought that was really cool as a Christian, because I'm like, oh, this stupid, annoying candle magic died, and they still have their love. God is love. Literally, like, theologically, like, biblically, God is love, so I just thought that was cool. I saw that as, like, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but as a Christian, I interpreted that as, like, God triumphing over their commitment to paganism, you know what I mean? And obviously that it's up to interpretation. That's the beauty of art. I doubt that that's what they were trying to say, but regardless, that's what I got from it, watching it through a biblical lens, because I look at all of existence through a biblical lens. Then we'll get to the cons now, because I went through all my pros. It's a really beautiful movie. It's just a great movie. I love it so much, but now let's get to the cons. They mix Christian and pagan language. They have the word miracle, which I would consider more of a Christian or religious term. God performs miracles, Jesus performed miracles. Like, you don't typically use that when you're actually a pagan doing witchcraft. Like, at least in my experience, in all my study, like in my year and a half of being a Wiccan, and then several years of being pagan and New Age, like, they just don't really use the word miracle. But then, the name of the movie, ENCANTO, which is also the name for, like, the magical place where they live, that is, like, enchantment, charm. It has a bunch of different, like, contextual meanings, but it's like magic, basically. It's kind of like the word magic, where it can be used in a lot of different ways contextually, but generally, it's not associated with Christianity. And so, like, they live in this encanto from their miracle. Where did this miracle come from? We don't know, but it looks like a straight-up, like, Wiccan sigil candle. Like, it looks like some magic spell shit. So, that's definitely strong pagan vibes. Now, people might be like, well, it's a Colombian movie and it takes place in Colombia and that's part of the culture. Yeah, well, this is not about whether or not it was true to culture. This is about whether it's true to biblical values or not. That's what my review's about. You can go make a review about whether or not it was true to Colombian culture, which I think it was, honestly, from what I understand. So yeah. The language, the mixing of pagan and Christian language, I don't like it. It's very New Age, it's very modern. That kind of thing is what has infiltrated and corrupted the church a lot from within, so I don't like that. We also have Christianity is canonical in this movie, you guys. Like, I was kind of surprised by that, but Christianity is actually canonical. Like, there is a Catholic priest. Now, I'm very critical of Catholicism. If you know me, you know that. But that doesn't change the fact that Catholicism did basically steal Christianity, co-opt it for its own worldly gain, but, like, it still revolves around Jesus. So, like, Jesus is canonical in this movie. Jesus exists and died for our sins, which makes the whole idea of the miracle a lot more sketchy to me. Like, if they had just left Christianity out of it, it wouldn't have been as big a deal, but Christianity is canonical, which means, like, some witchcraft shit might be going on with that candle. I don't know. I don't know, man. I just don't know. It's a little weird. So the fact that Christianity is canonical bothers me. The fact that Catholicism is the main representation of Christianity kind of bothers me, but that's just Hispanic culture for you. Like, that's just reality. That's just a reflection of reality. So I'm not really going to criticize it for that. They also avoid colonialism and patriarchy as a topic, which kind of bothers me. Like, so Abuela, her backstory is that, like, basically my ancestor, I'm pretty sure it's, like, the Spanish or something, I don't know, but, like, these fucking colonialists on horseback came and burned their town and they had to leave, and then her husband, Pedro, like, sacrificed himself to save them and the people they were with, and then, like, they magically get this miracle out of that pain. Like, they get this encanto out of it, and they get all their magic powers out of it. So, like, they kind of subvert the fact that in Hispanic and Latino culture, patriarchy is the standard, and often, like, toxic patriarchy, not even, like, necessarily godly patriarchy. They just make her a matriarch, which I don't think reflects Latino or Hispanic culture very accurately. Maybe Colombian culture specifically, I don't know. But they kind of just avoid the topic of that, which is relevant to the culture and to Christianity, so it's kind of weird. And, like, her husband dies, but, like, she's not afraid of her family dying. She's afraid of them losing their home again. So her trauma is technically caused by colonialism and genocide, but they don't address that. They address her trauma of losing her husband, and they don't really talk about it. And then you might be like, well, it's a kid's movie, and they gotta keep it PG. Except there's an incest joke, which is my next freaking criticism. I don't give a F, okay? If it was just joking about how wacky telenovelas get, I don't care. You're talking about a kid's movie, and you're talking about this telenovela that he made up in his head where this nephew wants to smash cakes with his aunt who has amnesia and forgot she's his aunt. Like, I'm sorry, it wasn't funny. You might as well just throw a rape joke in for the little kiddos too. That's disgusting. Like, literally abhorrent, disgusting. This is why I need to stop supporting Disney as a company, literally, because what the actual heck? Like, that's just repulsive, repugnant, revolting, all the disgusting words. Oh, I thought I heard something, but it's the rain outside. Final criticism. They're like, be yourself instead of being fake. And I'm like, wow, based. And then they're like, you're perfect in your flaws. And I'm like, what? Not based. Ew, stop it. Because, like, the whole point is that, like, you're flawed. And that's, like, double-think type stuff. Like, you can't be perfect and flawed. This also might stop recording any second. I'm sorry, but the video's almost over. I'll try to fit in an outro as well, but just so you know, it might stop recording any second. So, it kind of goes against biblical values of humbling yourself, because if you're perfect in your flaws, then you don't need to change, except we just saw that they weren't perfect in their flaws, and they had to change. So it's very contradictory. It's very, like, fake, brainwashing, ooh-woo, you're perfect, never change, live for yourself and your sin. It's very worldly. It's a very worldly, unchristian lesson. I think a better lesson, they should have just stuck with the humility part and been like, you're worthy of love. I love you even in spite of your flaws. I think that's a much more realistic and useful message to learn than you're perfect in your flaws and you never have to change at all. And that's kind of the conclusion they come to. I don't know. I just found that kind of weird. But, yeah. So, overall, in terms of how biblical, like, the lessons and themes and symbolisms in this movie are, I would give it maybe a 6.5 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. That's what I'm going to give it. There's a lot of good values, and I think the loudest themes and easiest to understand themes of the film align with Christianity more than they don't, which I really appreciate, especially from a Disney movie. But at the end of the day, they did kind of blend Christianity